Pardon me?
I'm also,
Okay.
I'm also here, Jill West from Lakeside 559, Lakeside.
Hi,
Right.
Jill. Okay,
Hi.
we're going to go through our agenda here, and remember, this is a workshop, and this is our, pardon me?
They have here. Do you have the old style at here? I really prefer that. The new style hurts my side of my head.
I'm not hearing what's going on. Someone help me out here. Is that one of the board members speaking or what?
I don't think so, Sue.
Okay, then I'll just keep on. Okay, we have our agenda in front of us. Welcome, everybody. Just as a reminder, our meeting next week has been moved up to December 13th because of Christmas holidays. So I hope you have that marked on your calendar. And today we're just going to go through our agenda. Please, if you have any questions or any comments as we're going through it, this is your opportunity to discuss it and bring up anything that you might have to say about it. So we've already done our confirmation, proper notice I know is there. We don't have to roll call. President comments we're going through. We're going to go, let's see, we go all the way down to
I have an extra pose also, but my question to you is, are you having trouble getting supplies? I mean, should I get it and just be on the safe side?
we have somebody else talking and we're getting in on it. I'm not too sure why.
I'm seeing a chess player thing.
Yeah, me too.
Me too. Chris?
Yeah, me too.
Now, if it was bridge, we'd like it, but I don't know how to play chess, but we have a chess thing on here.
Chris, are you with us?
I think I figured out what it is. My wife was on the phone in the other room and I think it was overlapping to the system.
But
She
why do
playing
we
chess?
have this chess screen on?
Yeah.
But Chris doesn't seem to be here.
It's my my screen. I'm trying to get the agenda to come up.
We keep getting chess.
Mhm.
We'll have to learn.
Well, the World Chess Championship is going on right now.
Whoa.
Oh, really?
Are you involved,
Okay.
Chris?
No, I enjoy watching it.
Okay, then I think everybody has the agenda in front of them.
Yeah,
don't you,
I'm
other
having
than-
trouble with it coming up.
Yeah, so don't worry. I don't think, is that a problem for anybody? If we
I don't
just,
have
No,
we don't have, who doesn't have it?
I don't.
I don't.
I sent him yesterday.
You
Oh,
did? Oh, how do we get out of there to get him?
Well, I don't think you have to get
Here it
out.
comes. Here it
Oh,
comes.
there it is. Okay.
There it is.
All
Yeah.
right. Very good.
So I think if we go down to number 7, old business, the first item there is a second floor entry slab renovation that we've been discussing. Do we have any questions or anything we need to talk about on this? We've been working on this project.
We have a little bit of a chipping problem on the 610. I have to investigate yet. Other than that, nothing is scheduled until January for any construction.
Okay, any other questions on it?
I just wanted, John, was that Tiffany that reported that?
Yeah,
Because I saw her the other day and she mentioned it to me, so I told her to let you know.
yep.
Okay.
Okay, second thing we had was the operations and employee manual report. I know Claire's not here, but we did have a meeting. There were 4 of us together in the office and we went through these things. And it's, you know, the holdup on this thing has been because the employee manual, Claire has had to input we had the operation manual was already put in. But Claire's had to put in the employee manual and she's been using a verbal thing to kind of put it into a word processor. So it's taken a little more time than we had anticipated. But what we kind of decided as a committee is that we're gonna hold off until January, and then in January, we will give the board members the operations manual first. So you're not overwhelmed with both of these documents at the same time. We'll give you the operations manual first, and once that's all been approved and okayed by the board, then we'll give you the employee manual report. So by January, the first of the year, we should be ready to give all of those out to the board. Any questions on it? The group is really doing a very good job, very, very good job. I think you'll be pleased when you see it. No questions?
Excellent.
Okay, front entry, the sign on the, when you come into Wildwood Springs off of Cortez.
Mhm.
Some of you, it was a suggestion. I thought a very good idea. I think that was, Tammy, didn't you suggest we all just take a ride down there and take a look at it? Which I did, and I hope
Yep.
the rest of you did. That was a good suggestion.
Took a
And
road
what-
trip.
Yeah. And what did we decided on? John, what did you guys get, any quotes or anything?
Well, I'm in the process of that. I took pictures and I've taken it up to Florida Signs, and there'll be 2 others. So it's going to be a working project, but they're going to give me some ideas about quotes, and then we could decide how we want to proceed.
With the rest of the board members who went up there and took a look at the sign, how did you feel about it? You think it's something we should be addressing?
I think we should, yes.
Yeah, it
There
needs to be
are-
replaced.
There
Looks
are
good.
holes in each side of the sign.
Yeah.
So
You
I
know,
think
I
we're all
mean,
pretty
it's
much in
broken.
agreement that we need to probably address that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
The question came up about lights. We really do need to have it lighted. I had 2 questions about that. Maybe too soon, but the lights that are there now are very high on the pole. And at night, they're blocked by all the trees that are there and everything. I wondered if the lights that are down on the ground could be made larger when the time comes, so that the sign itself would be more of a focus and be able to open up that entranceway. That's the only thing that I saw.
Well, we could, Dick, there's plenty of power up there. We could even, and even in the side, if we so desire, we might be able to put the power inside the lights, inside the sign itself. I don't know if that'll make it more look like a movie theater or not, but we certainly have the ability to increase the visibility there, no doubt.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments?
Yeah, are we gonna fix a dollar amount on how much we're gonna spend, or we're gonna wait on that and see what the quotes are?
Who the quotes are probably.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. They're going to give me general ideas. I mean, I don't see a reason to change the whole thing. The chances are we can go just with the quote unquote, I'll call them lenses that fit in there updated. And it probably is the most reasonable cost.
That okay?
Yep.
Okay, next thing, we were working on the cluster advisors volunteers, and I talked to John. Do we have, there were a couple of them yet that had not been filled. Is that correct, John? Maybe how many
Yeah,
were not filled
I'll
yet?
have that in my report, but we've had no updates since we've requested new ones.
How many did we need? Do you recall?
I thought it was 2, but it was 3. It's 3. And I will have those lists out in our manager's report so we can verify who we need.
Hi, Leslie.
There she is. Okay, so we'll have that then on our report when we have our meeting next week. And
Yes.
so we're missing 2 people, and
I
maybe
think
we'll
it's
have
3.
those.
I think it's 3.
And you think we'll have those 3 by our next meeting, or we can hope for it?
Well, we're sure, hope so, but I mean, I'll let everybody know where we need help.
Okay, do you think it would be good to get that out to the board members prior to the meeting so they can kind of see if,
Well, they'll get it in the manager's report, yes.
no, I meant, could we get it prior to the
Oh,
meeting? so
sure.
They can.
Today,
if-
I can get it out today, doesn't matter.
I mean, it's just a suggestion, because if we're missing 2 or 3 people, that might give the members of the board to kind of look around and see if they could find those 2 or 3 people and let John know. And maybe we could fill those vacancies before we have our board meeting. Just a suggestion. Any other comments,
Yeah, the
suggestions?
biggest thing we need is that we don't have a volunteer leader now.
But if we have a meeting after we get them filled, can't they elect their own?
Absolutely.
Any other comments? How would you like to see that handled?
Yes, can we, on the clusters that are missing advisors, maybe we should put something on the bulletin board on those clusters that they're
Right.
looking in that cluster.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll make a note, George. Thank you.
Okay.
John,
Okay,
John, do you remember the clusters right off the bat?
No, but I'll send it out this afternoon. You'll all have it.
Okay.
okay, status on our holiday collection for our guys and girls.
It's getting a little slow. It's coming in a little slow, but it's still a little early. But don't forget, the 16th is the last. We put it on the bulletin board and we put it on the web. And we sent out a blast email, I think it was yesterday, just
Yes.
to remind everybody.
Okay. And okay, next thing we have, consider, we were talking about the electronic mailings. I think Roger brought that up. I'm not certain. Do we have any update on any of that?
I have no update it now, but I will have a listing of the type of mailings we can use. And there's no question about the fact that it will save money. But as Chris or Roger or both outlined, that we have to have everybody's approval to send it. And we've now put in our welcome packet, the authorization form, and I'm having everybody as we interview them and go over the rules and what have you, they're signing these forms. So we're going to start to build an inventory of people who will accept it. And I think we'll probably have to maybe in the annual meeting packet include that so everybody can get it and send it back so we can utilize it.
I agree.
Yes, if I may, Sue,
Yes,
once we have that list, then we can fine tune an email list that would go out to all the people who approve that way of communicating with them.
I think that's a good idea. Any other comments or suggestions on how we can get these emails? I think they're both excellent ways to do it. New owners packet and then included in our annual meeting.
This will be an opt-in kind of thing.
What do you mean?
Yes,
an
you do not
opt-in?
have to.
Yeah, you don't have to if you don't want to. Okay. Okay, so we're now down to 8 new business. And we have 2 communications, and I guess from what John and I talked about it, both of these, one was an amendment that John sent out yesterday to be added. Both of these items have to do with our articles, and those are things that have to go to the owners. And we probably should always keep in mind when we're doing those things to keep those for when we have the owners meeting. So we wanted to discuss if you want to include both of these, and we should do the voting at the same time rather than call different meetings or mail them out and do everything, you know, at 2 different times. So John, do you want to go through those with them?
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
John, can I say something? And the rest of you, I think we all have, or we should have, these articles. I spent time, I always say these, and I think, aren't we thinking about getting that, Chris helped me too, getting those on the web page so that every time those articles are updated, you get a piece of paper and you shove it in the back of that articles page, and then you have to go back and look and see if you have it or you don't. But I actually have 2 of these documents with the articles and everything, and I've looked through both of them, and I can't seem to find this Article 7.2 that has to do with the hard surface. I mean, I've looked through both of them that I have here. I have the rest of you got this agenda. Have any of you looked at your little thing of articles and things to see, in fact, if you can find it in yours? Because it's a difficult process to keep everybody up to date until we get it, you know, where we can add it normally. If you haven't, it might be something you want to spend a little time looking at it and see,
On
because
page 9, Sue,
on page 9,
the 3rd paragraph down, page 9.
that's under 517.
I'm not sure where you are, but I'm looking at it right here on page 9, Article 7C. 7.2C. Now, this is not the bylaws, this is the declaration.
Well, I don't want to hold up anybody right now, but I look at, what, and you said it's, I'm gonna write it down here, because that wasn't one I just looked right now, but I'll be a little more careful looking at it, so I don't hold up what we're doing. You're saying it's on page 9?
Page 9 of the declaration, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so let's go through these 2 articles that we need to probably put on to the, give to the owners to vote on.
Okay, well, here it is. It's proposed by the building committee for the board to review. And that's because of the extreme noise migration that goes between upper and lower units. Primarily, it's due to construction. The construction we have was at code at that time, but our slabs are only 4 inches. Today, if you go to take a look at anything built today, it's 10 inches in cement. So there's quite a difference. And the committee, the board committee, I'm sorry, the buildings committee has not allowed any hard surface flooring to be put in bedrooms or living rooms or dining rooms, even though the documents basically say, with specific board approval, a hard surface material such as tile, wood may be installed over an underlayment in hallways, kitchens, bedrooms, and porches. See, it doesn't prohibit the bedrooms and the living room and dining room. So the amendment would basically be written to prohibit hard surface flooring from dining rooms, bedrooms, and living rooms. It is allowed with certain underlayment in kitchens, hallways, bathrooms, and lanais. That we would not prohibit that.
John, I also see it here on page 9 on the 3rd paragraph. You can do it on the website. I just went to the website on my iPad and pulled up the document, and it's on page 9.
Mhm. Good. So that would be up to discussion. Of course, it the board does not have to do anything. It doesn't have to send it to the owners if it doesn't feel it's important. But the committee, the building committee feels it's important because of the nuisance factor with the hard surface up above. Any other questions?
John, does that mean that if the board decides this is what we should do, it has to go to the owners for approval?
Yeah,
Yes.
it would, and this is the time you would do it because we would include that in the annual meeting discussion and a vote, should you wish to take that vote.
Thank you.
And there's some provision for people that already have it the other way. That we're going to grandfather them in, and it's going to take
Yes.
effect from when we vote. Is that the intention?
Yes, it would be. Yes, it would be, George.
Okay.
And we right now, what we're doing is we want to do this, we'll put it on the agenda and we'll vote on it at our meeting.
But
Correct,
it will
John?
be, it does require an owner vote of 60%.
But just the board will vote on it to take it to the owners.
How much,
Right.
John? What percentage of voters?
60% of a duly quorum meeting. So in
Okay.
other words, if we have 282, which is our quorum, we need 60% of that to pass.
Okay,
All right, the second one I was asked to put on is a suggestion or a request from Mr. Flood, who is in Sherwood. And his contention is that the non-carport owners should not have to participate in the expense and upgrade of carports. And of course, the documents do not separate that. Everybody pays for an expense. So he is requesting the board consider putting before the owners an amendment to the declaration that would actually opt out, I guess, non-owners from any expense relating to carports.
And do we know how many carports there are, John?
Yeah, I think 288, I think it is.
John, I had a question back on the previous item. I don't know if anybody, I guess, didn't see my hand.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
If one of these grandfathered units wants to go and replace their flooring, do they automatically become ungrandfathered and they have to comply with the current regulation? Or the
Yes.
current-
Yes.
Okay. So will notice be given to those units so that they're aware, or do we put something in writing as part of what you want to put in the declaration of condominium?
We have no way of knowing who has and who hasn't over the years, because it has been approved in the past. Many years ago, there could be, there's 141 upstairs units. There could be 20 with hard surface floorings. There could be 50. There could be 5. We don't really know.
So should something be put to that effect in the actual revision to the declaration?
Excuse me, Barb, but remember, they will be voting on this at the meeting. So if they have it, they're going to be voting on it, so they'll know that it's going to be changed. Even if they don't vote on it, they're going to receive the document.
Well, I thought the declaration was just going to say that the existing units are grandfathered, but what I'm getting at is if those existing units that are grandfathered decide to change out their flooring, they have to comply with the current regulation.
Well, we usually send out with the amendment proposals reasoning, and under that reasoning, we certainly could include the fact that those with hard surface floorings who wish to change, if this article is passed, will have to conform to the new standards. So we can certainly put that in the information as tendered with the vote.
Okay, thank you.
It'd be as of the date of the amendment.
Yeah.
Right.
And I want to follow up there with Barb, because my concern is, what about when a unit gets sold?
Yes.
What about it?
And,
Right.
well, the unit gets sold and that unit has a hard surface floor. I understand the follow-up that Barb just said. If that new owner wanted to change the flooring, they would have to only use carpet. But if there's a complaint after the unit is sold, because somebody different moves in and the person below them then has a problem, how could that all be handled?
I don't
Doesn't that
think you can.
grandfather follow with the unit,
Yes, it
not
does.
the owner?
Yeah, if it's an issue, unfortunately, it's still an issue.
Okay,
Yeah, it goes with the unit, not the owner.
okay. So it would just be if the new owner wanted to change it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got it.
I
Thank
mean,
you.
in a perfect world, we could, and we have had 2 people put in hard surface and we've made them take it out. We have been able to do that. But, in a perfect world, yeah, everybody would change, but that's not realistic.
John, would it be a difficult thing to do at the point that you're making this decision to have people who already have hard surfaces be identified so we would have it on record? Or would that be impossible?
Well, I suppose we could investigate and go into each unit or ask, we could ask.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest going in. I just didn't know when that whole thing goes out, if you have a hard surface, we need to identify it, notify something like that. I'm not even sure it's a good idea. I'm just putting it out so that 6 months after, somebody couldn't put a hard floor in and say, no, it was here before.
Well, we're always concerned about that, and everybody's pretty astute in letting me know if they see anything going on. Our last major remodeling, well, there was some concern in the 300, 303, I think it was, but there's hard surface was only going in the hallways and in the kitchen and in the bathroom, so it wasn't an issue. But I suppose you could say everybody who voted against it has hard floors. No.
Well, that's not, I think that at the time of the amendment, you should notify any owner that wants to be grandfathered in, better do so immediately so that they can be grandfathered in. And this would eliminate any people 10 months later, putting in a hardwood floor and saying, oh, well, I had it for 4 years. I think if they wanted, I know if I had a hard floor and I wanted it grandfathered in because of this change, the amendment, I would make it known right away that, look, I already have it. You know, I want to be considered to be grandfathered.
It's something we'll have to deal with. You're right, George.
Well, this way, like Dick was saying, maybe we should have a list of who's being grandfathered. Just a thought.
John, can you hear me?
I can.
This is Jill West calling or talking. I'm not sure how this all works since this is my first time that I've done this, but can I talk a little bit about the situations with the hard floor and the
Can
second
we-
floors being a second floor owner?
Can we wait though
Pardon?
until after the,
We have a,
Certainly, yeah.
Jill, what happens is we have a section where owners can speak.
Okay, perfect. I didn't know that.
Great.
Sorry to interrupt.
no problem, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to think about that, and then some way, if we're gonna vote on this next week, we'll have to change that vote around and see how you want it. If you want, but we'll have to listen to what Jill has to say first to decide how you want that vote to be, if you wanna, you know, qualify it so that nobody goes in and does that after the fact.
Well, to ensure we don't have a knee jerk that doesn't work or something reaction, we have until February to come up
Yeah.
with the proper verbiage. So we got a couple
Exactly.
months.
Good.
Yeah, this is Carrie, and I have a little bit of a question. On the vinyls,
On what?
it keeps saying that it's on the vinyls. It keeps saying a hard surface woods. Okay, vinyls have been improved so much. They are so much quieter than when the first vinyls came out. Can we make, you know, some type of amendment on even that? Because vinyls are working a lot better than when they first came out. They're a lot softer and they have cork underlayment under them.
Well, two things, and you're right, they are much better. And I've had surfaces brought in for samples. Some of the new vinyls have a sound suppressant below it. And then the owners also can put a sound suppressant below that. But it still seems to be an issue, Tammy, unfortunately, with the people downstairs, even with the new stuff. I think Steve can attest to that.
Yeah.
So you have someone above you, Steve? Is that what you're saying?
No, but I've been at a couple places, couple houses that have had above, and if somebody just walks across, you can pretty much hear it downstairs. I mean, it's not annoying for a walk. You get a dog up there running.
Because I saw a lot in Wildwood too, and Wildwood too, almost all of them have the hardwood floors. And
Have we ever gotten a measurement when we say it? I mean, have we ever asked our owners how thick it is so that we knew what would not be any more problem with the sound? Or Debbie, have you ever asked anybody how thick theirs is, that it didn't bother the people underneath?
Never have asked them.
What happens is when we have requests in the past, it has been allowed because it was allowed. They've always had to submit their material, the sound deadening material, to attest to it reaches the STC of 70 that the documents require. So anybody that's had approval in the 7 years I've been here, we have a piece of the material of the sound deadening in their file.
Okay.
And you're saying the SDC of 70 is not sufficient?
I'm saying that unfortunately there's very little that's sufficient. Don't forget, they're still allowed hard surface in the entry hallway. They're allowed hard surface in the kitchen. They're allowed hard surface in the bathrooms. They're allowed hard surface in the lanais. It's just the main walking area that the committee is trying to protect.
Any other comments?
I have quite a few, but I was told to wait.
We'll get there. We'll get
I don't
there.
know.
We'll get there. Okay, the next one, John?
The next
You
one's
start.
the carport, if they wish to put that on the agenda or take it to the owners. As I said, there's one individual that's asking this to be considered by the board.
I have a comment. This is Barbara.
Yes, Barbara.
Do we know how much this impacts the carport? How much is removed from non-carport owners in terms of quarterly fees, and how much is added to the carport owners? Number
I don't
one.
think we know that yet because we've never done it. So
No,
we'll have to
but
come up.
I can tell you this, that in the new budget, there's $10,000 going into reserves for the office and carport ceilings. So some of that would come out, and we'd have to do a study. It might even take a year to do because the proposal would include electric and the maintenance. A whole lot of maintenance is not there now, but in the future, I think this is, they're looking for a relief from maybe when the roofs have to be changed or when major work is done.
It might be more of a guesstimate right now, Barb, because we've never done it before. And it might take a guesstimate this year if we decide to do it, and then actually keeping track of what takes place during the year to have it happen. We've never done it, so who knows? It's something we probably have John guesstimate, check it out and see during the year and see if we need to do more or we need to do less. And that will change every year based if you're going to put new roofs on it, there will probably be more. I mean,
Well,
just like it is for us. I don't know.
I'm
Yes,
assuming, yeah, so I just think we should have some idea, or at least a range. I mean, I think a range, coming up with a range is reasonable on how much
Yeah.
we're talking. Number two, I mean, I went back to the original declaration as well as the current revision. And both those, it clearly identifies the carports as the limited common element that's to be taken care of by the association and not by the owners. So it's not, it was something that was overlooked. So, I mean, I'm not in favor of changing.
There's a question also, isn't there, of insurance and value and who would be responsible for insurance? You know, it seems to me it's opening up a can of worms that's going to be really very difficult to try to identify. For example, first of all, insurance, who determines the value of all of the carports? Is it 500,000, 600,000, $1 million? And then who's going to research the insurance so that the owners can pay for it? And collections. It just seems to me it's a can of worms that we have to be very careful if we start to open that up.
I agree.
I
with
totally
Vic.
agree.
I agree with Vic.
I
and,
agree
I do too.
I would like to add that it is a can of worms because for 40 years there wasn't an issue, and the association took care of the semi-common element or whatever you want to call it. I can understand where people that don't have carports would want to not pay for carports, but I don't want to pay for upstairs landings and stack pipes. And I think when it comes to repaving Wildwood Springs Boulevard, Lakeside and Woodlawn should bear the brunt more so than Pinehurst or Sherwood.
Oh my gosh, are you
So if you want
serious?
to open a can of worms, we can go
Yeah.
through this fairness thing until the cows come home.
That's some, yeah, you're right.
What about the repairs in the cracks of courtyard walls? I mean, we're all paying.
Courtyard walls, gates. I don't have, people that live upstairs, they don't have gates. Why should they pay for replacement of gates in your courtyard? And the courtyard is taken away from common property for your exclusive privilege of having a courtyard. But this is the way the developer built the place, and it says so in the documents. The first paragraph says that some units, by design of the developers, designed it so some units would have carports, some would have courtyards and things like that. And some people are upstairs and they have a problem with stack pipes or landings. And we've been, as an association, been taking care of this beautiful place we have for over 40 years. And I think it's a big mistake to go down this road.
Well, if I may, a
I
couple
agree.
things. Number one, yeah, first floor unit shouldn't have to worry about roofs either, right?
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
Well, I mean,
Then
if
we
there's a
gotta
leak
carry about their
upstairs,
roofs,
it comes down,
their
if there's a
floors.
leak upstairs, it comes down to the,
Right.
to the
No,
next
but
floor.
listen, this is only a proposal to put on the agenda, don't forget. I mean, if enough people don't feel strongly enough to even put it
Just
on the
don't vote
agenda,
it
then
in, you vote against it.
you don't even have to put it on the agenda if you
Yeah.
don't feel like it. And don't forget, you've had requests for pay to put in trucks. And you haven't necessarily put it for the people because you feel that it's not the way it is. So this could be one of the same things. You talked about it, you said, no, we see issues. So, I mean, it's up to you all.
Maybe we need to vote on it.
Yep. Is that what we do, vote on it?
You can vote on whether you want to put it on the agenda,
On
yes.
the agenda or not.
Exactly.
And that's
Exactly.
what it's here for, just to decide or not. So since I can't see everybody, do we have to probably do a verbal thing here?
I would do a, yes, I would do
Roll
a roll call.
Do we
Yeah, that's what I
do,
need
do
to
we
do.
do that at a workshop or do we do that at a board?
We should
meeting?
do it now, so it won't go down.
Well, if we do it now, we won't have to even
Put it on the agenda. I see. All right, all right. We're voting to put it on the agenda or not.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's only for the agenda, George.
Okay.
Okay, we have someone that will hear a motion?
Motion,
So move.
Barbara?
I make a motion to vote not adding it to the agenda.
Do I hear a second?
A second.
Second.
I'll second.
Is there any
I'll second
discussion?
that if you need it.
Third.
No discussion? Okay, will you please take a verbal vote?
Yes, ma'am. I'm just
Yeah,
Now,
gonna
wait a
go,
minute, let me ask,
Excuse me.
yes?
Yes is not
says
to put it on.
on the agenda, or yes means do not put it on the agenda?
yes is not to put it on.
Thank you.
okay, I'm just gonna go with the people I know are here. Roger,
Yes,
I say yes. Shannon,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes,
Dick,
Yes,
George,
Yes.
Monica,
Yes.
Tammy,
Yes,
Debbie,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
All right, so that's unanimous.
Okay, so it's not gonna, so it's that we've taken care of it. We've done our duty. Okay, next thing, managers report.
That's
We don't need to go through that. You'll all get it then. Committee reports, we'll get all of those. Director's comments, we'll hold up, but I would like to have owners' comments. Is Jill here?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
First of all,
Jill.
thank you so much for allowing me to be on the call. I really appreciate it and listening to me a few minutes. I've been a condo owner for 3 years and really enjoy Wildwood Springs. Nancy Thomas, which I used to work with years ago at Freedom Village, said that I was the youngest one that had bought into the condo association. And I don't know if I'm still the youngest, but just in regards to the flooring and things, as Tammy pointed out, the new product, that kind of thing. I have a nephew that's a builder in Michigan. He has a wood frame house. Everything is the vinyl, flooring. I was there with 6 great nieces and nephews under the age of 7. They were running up and down the hallways upstairs with the dog that's a 60-pound black lab, and nothing was heard downstairs. Secondly, my daughter has major asthma and allergies, as I have bad allergies myself. And as you know, with the carpeting, it does trap a lot of dust and different things, the beach sand, everything else. Lots of people are getting away from the carpeting because it's just a lot of maintenance. I live on a second floor, as I had stated earlier. I have below me people that are seasonal. And so a lot of these uppers, probably have people that are seasonal or renters that, don't own. So I feel like that needs to be, in consideration too, especially for the people that live here full time. I think also, for resale value. I mean, I know Wildwood Springs is a hot commodity. I have a girlfriend from Michigan that's looking to move in as well soon. And, she's kind of wondering the same things. I mean, people just don't get carpet anymore. So I really, really feel if we could kind of consider those types of things, especially with the asthma and the allergy thing, it's really tough on my daughter. It's tough on me. And I know going through and looking for places as it was stated earlier, a lot of people do have them. And I just feel like, you know, it really should be, you know, kind of really thought over. I know the bylaws are bylaws, but they haven't been, you know, changed in years, which, you know, I understand. But I really truly feel that this needs to be a consideration for those of us, you know, that do have respiratory stuff going on, and that it's just easier maintenance. So, you know, I know the cork backing on is a great soundproof. You get the Wismer mats or whatever underneath. I mean, I really think that it really needs to be really thought through. And I just would appreciate it if you could, because I myself would like to do that for all of the reasons above. So thank you for letting me have this opportunity to speak to you all. I appreciate it. And just really hope and pray you guys, you know, kind of take all of that into consideration.
Thank you, Jill. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Oh, my
John,
pleasure.
I have a question. I remember when this all took place, and I think Bob McDivitt was here, and we went through certain measurements, and actually I thought it was written up exactly what had to be put on that second floor. Did we do that? Is that what's in the office right now? The exact amount that has to be
Yes,
put in there?
yes, it's the article on page 9. When you get there, you'll read it exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it does allow for it now. It does, no question about it.
John, would
John?
it not be true that if someone had a medical condition, that we might be able to put that into any change that would allow that with a statement from pulmonologist or someone like that?
Well, that's what we had with Marie Graziani, as you recall, but we made her change her floors.
Yeah, but she did not even approve. She didn't even ask for approval, did she?
No,
If I
she just
remember
went ahead
correctly.
and did it.
No,
She
that's
just
true.
did it, yeah.
See,
Yeah.
and I'm a big rule follower, and I just can't bring myself to go do that without the approval, you know, of everybody. And it's important.
Oh, by the way, Joe, you're almost the youngest anymore.
Am I almost the youngest?
You're almost the
Oh man,
youngest.
somebody beat me. Somebody beat me.
Hi, we have Roger Runs here from Unit 663. Johnny, we just wanted to clarify. He mentioned that you were going to raise up about the table talk.
Yeah, that was coming up. That was gonna come up too. Hi,
Okay.
Roger.
Hi, John.
Roger's asking us to consider, as there's many people know, there is a new, it's up there a couple of years now, I guess, but most people don't realize that there's a facility up front that is a combination restaurant and game playing place that I guess opened up and did very, very well, but then COVID hit it and there are issues, and I gather they're struggling a little bit, but having gone up there and seen the facility, it would be something for the association to consider doing something as far as group social activities. I know we haven't had them because of COVID, but this, I can remember 2 years ago, we used to have breakfast, women's breakfast, men's breakfast over at Country Joe's that 40 or 50 people attended. And Roger took a look at this facility and thought it would be a great idea for the association to maybe conduct some events there. And that basically I was going to talk to Cynthia about it from the social committee first to see if they had thoughts to bring to the board, but Cynthia didn't come back yet for the holidays. So I'm kind of lay it out in front of everybody else.
May I speak as former person on social committee? And when Joy was here and she and I would do that, we would arrange lunches for the women and the men had some breakfasts. Well, we were like 2 or 3 breakfasts and then it petered out, and the lunches, the same kind of thing. Because, and I'll tell you why, people didn't want to have to pay money to do things. They wanted the free things that we have up at the office. So
Too bad.
until we get past that, I'm not sure, because it's a lot of work. believe me, it's a lot of work.
Sure.
So I think it's a great idea, but getting people to want to go to something that they have to pay extra for is a real challenge.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other comments on that? Thank you, John.
Roger.
Yes,
I don't-
Roger.
I'd like to make a comment on that. I drove by that place for 2 years and kept telling myself, I need to stop, I need to stop. And when I finally did, it about floored me. It's an amazing, amazing place. I'm sure any cost as far as playing the games and stuff, it can be probably negotiated. My own personal thought is my wife wants to kick me out of the house. What a good place to go and meet other residents from Wildwood Springs or Spring Lakes or whatever, and just have a nice afternoon, play card games, play board games.
And the food is good.
And the food is by far excellent. I mean, just tremendously excellent. And I think John will attest to that. So it's something that I would like to see the residents of Wildwood Springs 1 and 2 and Spring Lakes, over 1,000 units between the 3 condo associations, and it's a mile or less. And if you walk up and down Wildwood Spring Boulevard, you know, you got to dodge foot traffic. I mean, it's easy enough to walk to. They're talking about getting bingo started up again, which I think has a bearing with a lot of the residents, but it's just, you know, chess, checkers, dominoes, mahjong, you know, card games, euchre. That's what I grew up with, euchre, pinochle, cribbage, stuff like this. I mean, you can spend 2-3 hours there in the afternoon or whatever and have sandwiches. And by the way, they do have beer and wine. And, you know, I didn't drink it all out of them yet, but they'll get more in. But I'm telling you, it is such an amazing place. From the outside, it doesn't look very big. It'll seat 80 people if you've driven by it. And I've talked to both of the owners and asked them to go ahead and open up the shade of the screen. What are those things? Drapes that they have over around the front windows so people can look in and see what they've got. But I'd like to see a lot of the residents take advantage of that place. And it's, you know, I don't think the cost is nominal. I mean, lunches are under $10. You know, it's just an amazing place, and I'd like to see the association put their support behind it. Because I've talked it up and down Wildwood Springs Boulevard, as many people as I can find. So, and they're all interested.
Well, thank you, Roger. We appreciate, maybe you could tell them to take a couple of coupons and put them in the office, and maybe, you know, $2 off or something. That might encourage people if they can pick them up right there at Maggie's desk. Might be a good way to bring people in. But thank you. I appreciate it.
That's great. That's a good segue maybe to the newsletter.
Yeah, exactly.
It used to be advertising in our quarterly newsletter, or semi-annual, I guess it ended up. John, will you?
I have a question for you. Coming from a medical background, I work for Surrey Place Healthcare and Rehabilitation, and with, you know, opening that up to people, I mean, you could probably get vendors in home health agencies and different people in the medical field, elder law attorneys, et cetera, to go in and do speaking engagements too. And a lot of times they'll pick up or bring in food.
That's a great idea.
So that might be little food for thought too. I mean, I know our building would be, you know, happy to have some sort of event or something, you know, eventually. But if that's something that you're interested in, you know, I have a lot of contacts.
That's a great idea. That really is. Any other comments?
I have one.
Yes,
I go back?
Barbara?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask John, did you get any more interest in rekindling the newsletter?
From where?
Anyway.
I don't mean, I don't mean to be facetious, but
I thought weren't gonna do that because of the webpage.
well, that was part of it, but there was some thought with the fact that, you know, the newsletter was a little more homey. It was a little bit more written articles on a quarterly basis. The
It's a
big
bit-
problem was at that time, we had Catherine working in the office, and she was really somebody who loved to go out and solicit ads and things like that. And she did a great job of doing that, sometime at the behest of some other things that should have gotten done, but that's neither here nor there. We would have to have somebody that had the verve and want to put more time in than most realize to go back to it, quite frankly.
I
We have the
see.
ability to print it here, and we can say, and we save money and things like that. But you know, it's up to the board. If the board wants to try to start it again, I know that the committee members would, or committee chairs would submit, you know, articles and things like that. But I don't know if we get the advertising back or not without going out and hard soliciting. Pam, I think you were involved in that too, right?
Yeah, Debbie and I both
Debbie.
were on the newsletter. Again, it's a lot of
Yeah.
work.
Yep.
And I don't see people stepping up. Barb, if you're so interested in doing it, volunteer.
Actually, I was just going to mention if it could be
Well,
somebody
find
to
some,
do it.
I don't ever want to do it again. I don't think Debbie does either.
No way.
But if you can find somebody that's willing to help you, go for it. But
Well, what was
those of
so
us
diff-
that did it are burnt out.
Yes.
were you doing it semi-annually or quarterly?
No, we were doing it
Monthly.
quarterly
No, we were doing it monthly, weren't we, Pam?
for
I
a
was
while,
doing
Deb,
monthly
but then we
beginning.
didn't.
Quarterly.
Then
Okay,
it was quarterly.
don't even think about it anymore.
Would there be
Crazy.
interest for semi-annually? Obviously, we want, I'm sorry that you guys found it such a difficult thing to do. So if that was quarterly, what about doing something semi-annually? Is
Go
there
for
any?
it.
Yeah, if you want to go for it. The hardest part was getting people to write things. Now I would have
Yeah.
Jim write an article and John would write an article. And then the rest of it, I couldn't get anybody else to.
Well, when
me
I
a
was
picture.
doing it, I would write for the landscape committee. And that, so that was like a double duty, but,
Uh-huh.
so, yeah, it's a lot of work. It really is a lot of work. And for those of us who've already done it, we've done it.
And right now you've got the minutes of every meeting, hopefully should be posted on our webpage. So they shouldn't have to write another article because everything that committee has done is on the webpage.
Well, so long as the committees are putting something out there. I mean, not all committees are putting something out there.
Well, they should be if they're having meetings. If they aren't doing it and they aren't having meetings, then the board needs to address that.
Right, that's a good idea.
All right, well, I will certainly, if anybody wants to co-partner, I mean, I'm interested in taking it on as well. Okay, don't all jump at once.
Stepping back. Ugh.
John, I'll swing by and see what you've got for help me get it kick-started. John,
Okay,
all right?
Yep.
There is a program that's in the computer system that we had, and I'm sure it's still there. I think that's what Catherine used, right, Debbie?
Right, yep, should be in there, unless they change the computer out. They might have
Yeah.
changed that one out, I don't know.
We should have it.
I'll swing by the office, John, and talk details.
Yes, please.
You could ask Jeff, because Jeff used to be there all the time, and then Ron Cornett was helping with me with it too, so, but I use the computer that Jeff uses in the second room.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you had to get a new one. I think that one fried, but
good possibility, yeah.
Just for clarification, am I correct in thinking that after next week, all the meetings are going to be in person?
January 1st, I thought we were starting in January. We were
Yep.
going back.
Okay, and people can call in or still Zoom in, or has that been eliminated?
we're going, George, to answer that is I've got a call in. Matter of fact, I called this morning and they weren't over there. We've arranged for having the meetings back there, but the person didn't know whether they had Wi-Fi capability or not.
Oh, that's
And they were
right.
going to get back to me and they haven't. So I tried to get them this morning, but they weren't in. So if we don't have Wi-Fi capability, we will not be able to Zoom.
That's huge.
Chris, if you have a cell phone, you have Wi-Fi capability, correct?
Yes, yeah, we could Zoom with a cell phone.
I mean, it'd be kind of cumbersome without.
I mean, I'm not sure how well that would work.
So I have a comment.
Yes.
Okay, I own 565, which is all one floor. I've been in condos with other people that have someone above them. And if there isn't a soft surface, it is rather loud. And it's very distracting to me because I don't have that above me. There was a specific reason why I bought that. My daughter and I are also severe asthmatics, and we have started remodeling our condo. We still have one rug left in there, and we seem to do all right. We always have. We've owned for 16 years, and it hasn't been a big issue to us. Of course, we weren't even as close to spending as much time down there then as we do now. That's issue number one. Issue number two, with when you divide out, the association should pay for this, but not for that. And that. I don't have a carport, but I do have the courtyard. So, all right, I don't want to pay for a carport. They don't want to pay for my courtyard. It's
Right.
6 of one and a half dozen of another, and you're never going to get 100% balance in there.
Well, the board's already voted to not include that on the agenda. So that's already off.
Uh-huh.
But those are things that I consider as an owner down there also.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your input. Thank you. Any other comments from owners?
A quick suggestion, if I may.
Sure.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Could you just state your
on the-
name and what unit you're in?
Oh, I'm sorry. Davis Flood, 225.
Oh,
Sherwood.
hi, yeah, hi, Davis. Nice to see you.
Hi. On the employees getting the Christmas bonus, just a thought that may enhance the owners to give to that. If you could list everybody's name and which department they work in, just their first name, just like Jack, Pools, and so-and-so with landscape and so-and-so with buildings, just their first name. So list what they do in their first name. It'll personalize it. Maybe we can get some more money for them.
That's
Just
a
an
good
idea.
idea. I've never thought, that's a really good idea.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I have comments, Marv, in 591.
Yes, go ahead.
On two topics. The thing about the amendment, the reason that this whole thing came up is because the reserves were not done properly over the years.
Right.
And that's the real reason. There was a mistake in the
Yes.
operation. And I'm not pointing fingers. I don't care who did it or why it was done that way. But that's the main reason why it's come up, because the reserves are too low, supposedly. And because when the reserves were set up, they didn't cover the roofs on the carports. So it makes no sense to separate them right now. The other thing is, I'm still a little concerned about the board meetings moving to the church. And if the idea is to have in-person board meetings, you used to have them in the office, in the boardroom. And why not have them in the office, in that room, and just not let all visitors and let the visitors Zoom in?
Well, that's up to the board. Any comments? What
think
he's
that's a
asking
good
for is
idea.
not to have the meeting in the church.
I think I would like to keep the Zoom going. Whether
Me too.
whether
Me
we go
too.
in person, we all want
The
to get back
church
to
was,
in
the church
person.
is, I'm sorry, George, the church is for the owners meeting. When you have to take the votes and do all that, and I guess you have to do it there. But for regular board meetings, they were always in the office, as I recall.
Well,
And yeah, it was cramped and whatever. And I used to stop in, so I won't stop in. I'd just as soon Zoom in anyway. It's much more comfortable for me personally.
well, I think they were, John, are you around there? I think we had certain times during the church, it depended on when we had more people down here from up north. So then we would go to the church. There were certain months that we had meetings in the church.
Yeah, you're
And
correct.
so-
We had October, November, December, January, February, March. And then we would, the April through September, when the most people weren't here, we would move
We're
to
in the office.
Yeah.
Well, I
So
would
that's what
recommend
we-
that you guys rethink that then, because you can Zoom in the office. You're doing it now. And it takes all this stuff out of it. And anybody who can get to a Zoom or a phone can be part of the meeting.
Well,
I agree with you also, Marv, that I think the Zoom, actually, we have a better meeting with the Zoom. We can all see each other. It's all being recorded. If you miss something, you can go back and listen to it. And I think it's actually a better meeting. I have nothing against meeting in person if people feel safe and they want to meet in person and everything. But I think never to eliminate the Zoom. You always had the conference call if you wanted to call in. And but there's a limitation with the call-in, because you don't see people, you don't understand questions and things like that. Whereas and John West would point out how convenient it is, and it is convenient. I mean, it's not the reason we do it. We were forced into this like everybody else, but it seems like it's a good idea to have the Zoom meetings.
Yeah, but George, can I get some clarification from you? Are you talking about Zoom meetings for the board or Zoom meetings for other people?
I'm talking about Zoom meeting for the board meetings, just like what we're doing now.
Well, the vote was taken though, unless you want to change the
And you
vote.
could
the vote
do
was
committee
taken.
meetings through Zoom, and if people that want to meet in person, that's fine. But have the Zoom element there also so that they can participate and see what's going on.
But the vote was taken, I think, I don't know what month, I'd have to go back, that John, wasn't the vote taken by the board?
Last month.
Last month, the vote was
John-
taken
Yeah.
that we would resume in-person meetings. The vote
Right,
voted on it.
right.
So now if you want to change that vote, you're gonna have to come back
No,
up.
I don't want to change it. Have it in person, but also have the Zoom option so people that can.
Well, that's what my question
you can
was
have-
to you. Are you
you can
talking
have-
about, excuse me, are you talking about the Zoom meeting for the board or for other people?
I'm talking about for all meetings.
And not meetings, I'm talking about the attendees. Are you talking about, the board is not going to have Zoom meeting, in my opinion. I thought that's what we voted on. In January, the board will all be in person.
Good.
And then anybody who wants to, what you're saying is that you want to keep the Zoom for anybody who does not want to be there in person, because we won't have much room for them if we're in the office. Is that what you're asking for, George?
I'm saying that we should keep the Zoom option during all the meetings.
And if we do, that means meetings have to be in the office because we have the technology to continue with the Zoom. Whatever John finds out at the church, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a
Are we
little bit of,
are we going to eliminate it because you want to have it in person? You're saying you don't want to have Zoom at all?
no, what John said is we may not have the ability to have Zoom if we go to the church. He's
So
checking
then,
on that.
so then we have to go back to just the call-in.
If that's what we have to do, yes.
We
Okay.
practically never had call-ins there either, as you recall, because of this, the issue with the phone, no speakerphone there. Remember, we used to have to go on somebody's cell phone. So, I mean, we're voted, as Sue said, we're voted to go back to it, but it would change radically. But we also used to average 50 to 60 people during a month, and now we have 17 or 18. So a lot of people used to come to those meetings.
Right, because they're here. They're from up north. They're here. They're in their Florida homes now. So anyway, that's what we voted on. And that's what I'm presuming we're going with, unless somebody wants to change the vote in a week from now or something and change it. But the vote was that we would go back to in-person meetings in January at the church. If you want to change that, you would have to vote on it again as a board. And I just think we're already set to go, and we'll see if we have technology in the church. If we do, we can have Zoom. If we can't, we can try to encourage people to come back to the board meetings. Comments?
I think we need to give John a chance to investigate what we've already discussed, and in January, have that meeting. By that time, we'll know what direction we ought to be going.
Well, as of January, right now, we have decided the direction we're going in.
And I'm suggesting we keep it that way and give John an opportunity to do the investigation, and then we can discuss it in January.
Well, I should know by the time we meet next Monday, and then if there's any changes, and you can change it at that time if you want.
Okay? But that we are going in the direction that we voted on, unless we do not have technology. And if the board wants to change their mind, that's our last vote will be when we meet again. But as of right now, that's what we voted on, and that's where we're going. Questions, comments?
Can I say something?
You sure can.
It's Leslie Jacobs. And
I can see you're blowing everybody a kiss.
Everybody. I'm concerned about going back to the church for in-person meetings due to the gravity of the new Omicron virus and the spread of the Delta virus. The idea of having in-person meetings without vaccination mandates or mask mandates or the appropriate distancing is really horrifying in some ways. It could turn into a super spreader event. Would that be a good idea? No. I think the board should consider the Zoom option first and foremost for all meetings, just to be on the safe side. Better to err on the side of safety and health. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I think that we can discuss it now. Leslie has a point. Most places that you go right now are saying, you know, to wear a mask and keep appropriate distance, which I just presumed is what we would have said at the church. I mean, that's what you hear every place you go. It says to wear a mask and be appropriately distanced. I would presume, and I'm just presuming, that's what we would do if we were at the church. So with that in mind, do you still want to keep with the vote to have it in the church if you're saying to everybody to wear a mask and keep appropriate distance? Or do you not feel comfortable, like Leslie says, and feel as if we should continue Zoom? We need to discuss this.
You can
When
put it
you
on the
did the
agenda.
vote, when you did the vote, you said there were no mask mandate.
Right,
Well,
exactly.
there weren't at that point, if you remember, George.
And there still aren't. I
No,
mean,
but when you go places, that's what you will see.
well, if people want to wear a mask, wear a mask.
So there's no mask mandate.
Well, there never was a mask. For how long has it been
Oh, okay,
since
all
we
right.
had a
Well,
mask
you were
mandate?
saying, you were saying that you would meet inside with a mask, you know.
Well, because most places you go right now, when you walk in the door, you will see a sign on the door that says, please wear a mask and keep appropriate distance.
Where
Many
do you
places,
go?
even though there's not a mask mandate, it will say that to you. There will be a sign on the door.
If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you don't want to wear a mask, don't.
My question is,
But
are
we
we
already
allowed?
voted on it last
Excuse me,
month.
we have to take one person at a time. I know this is difficult when we're Zooming, and people, unless you are running the meeting, you don't understand sometimes how difficult it is to run a Zoom meeting, because I can't see people's hands. I can't see when groups are talking. It is not the easiest thing to run. So I'm going to ask you, please be very considerate and kind of wait for people or say something, because we can't talk over each other. So I apologize. Who was speaking?
Monica.
Monica?
Are we allowed to ask people for vaccination certificates? I know in Florida, it is against the law to ask people. So are we allowed to say, everybody comes in, we want to see your vaccination certificate?
This being a private organization, we probably could, but I don't know that you want to go that route.
Well, I do, or I won't come. I just lost a flight to Germany for Christmas and New Year's because they closed down Germany because of the Omicron virus. So people over 60 are not allowed to use the subways, the trains, the buses, or the streetcars. So I would be inbound the whole time I would be there. So this virus is not going away.
Ever. Ever. Apparently never, but we're not in Germany, Monica. We're in the United States. And as far as I know, we still have freedom of choice here.
Right, right. And I think we voted to have in-person meetings, and I think they should have in-person meetings, but I also think they should keep the Zoom, that people can attend the meetings through Zoom.
And the only way that can happen, unless there is technology available in the church, and we have to wait and see. So the first meeting, like I say, maybe you wanted this, maybe you
All
want
you
to
need
take a
is
new
somebody with
vote.
a cell phone, just like John was saying with the call-in. If you have
You know,
somebody
I
with a
think
cell
you can
phone,
do that. And I only say that because I know when we have our Zoom meetings with my friends from college, the girl who runs the meeting sometimes does do it from her cell phone. It's not as well, but she might be in the car or something, and she will run it from her cell phone. So I know it can be done.
or a laptop, or an iPad.
If
We all have-
I may, the issue, it would certainly be preferable if we could use Wi-Fi at the church. If we do it with a phone, it may work. The
Not very
question
well.
would be the amount of bandwidth that the phone provides. And if the connection with my provider, if I'm running it, how many people I could get on at the same time. That's the only, I think, real problem, and it may not be a problem. I don't know yet.
How about what Marv was saying, meet in the office like we used to do? Because if not everybody, like Monica and myself or Leslie or other people that don't want to be there in person, and then we can have the Zoom through the office. We have Wi-Fi in the office, correct?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, how many board members are wanting to go in person without masks, without vaccines, and go into the office?
Well, I don't think anyone, how many wants to have a meeting in the office? Will you please take a verbal count for us,
I mean,
please?
you know,
I mean, I'll go into the office.
I'll go in the office.
not
We
with
need to have a
15,
count.
not with 15 board members.
Yeah, I'm going in the office with 15 board members. I certainly will. I've had all my
Okay,
shots,
okay.
and I have no problem wearing a mask if it's
So then
necessary.
have the board meetings in the office, and people that want to go, let them go.
Well, right now, the problem is we didn't vote for that. So we can't just say that unless we take a new vote, which
Yeah.
is what I've said we can do next week. But the vote has been. So if you want to re-vote on this, we can do that next week. But the vote right now is we're going to the church.
Perfect. When's that ready?
69.95.
John is already set.
Perfect, yes. I'm sorry, I was pulled away. Did somebody ask me a question?
No, I was just going to say, Sue, that John has said that he might have this information by the meeting next week. My suggestion is that we table this conversation until John gives us the material that we really need at the meeting next week, and then we can have a discussion.
And I just want you to all keep in mind next week, what your alternatives are going to be. They're going to be one or two. Number one, if we don't have the technology, you're going to have to decide. I still want to go to the church and try the phone, and Chris, will leave it in your hands as our magician and see what we come up with. Or I want to change the vote and have it in the office and have the Zoom. So based on what other information we get from John, I just like to have you thinking about what is going to be your alternative, and that's what they are going to be. And if people like say, I have no problem going into the office next week if we have to, or going into the church. I have had all my shots. I have no problem wearing a mask. I have no problem with having in-person meetings. Those of you who do, I don't know what to tell you. I see you doing something, Steve.
Well, my only thought is if we do it in the office, and then let's say 15 people, owners show up and want to come
They
in
can't go.
too. So you're saying the owners wouldn't be able to come in
Or where
person?
would we put them?
Well, that's, yeah, I don't think I'd want to be in there with that many people and not knowing whether they have been vaccinated or not. So,
Can I,
Barbara?
yeah, maybe, since, what if we put something on the agenda for next week to rediscuss opening up the meetings in January? I mean, I'm in favor either way. I'm flexible. But there seems to be a bit of discussion of people, maybe because of Omicron or whatever they call it, getting a little leery. So if we put something on the agenda to possibly revisit, that just, at least it's on the agenda, because what I'm learning from previous meetings, if it's something's not on the agenda, then you can't even vote on it.
It will be on the agenda. That's what we're going to, I just wanted to tell you that those are going to be your two options. And you'll know more if John finds out. So that's what it's going to be. So we don't need to discuss it anymore. I don't think, unless there's anything more that a board member wants to bring up. Those are going to be your two decisions. It will be on the agenda, please, John.
Yep, under old business, because
Yep.
it's old.
It's old. It certainly is.
So
with that,
what will not be on the agenda is continuing Zoom meetings without meeting in person. Is that right?
No, in-person meetings.
what we're going to have on the agenda is decide how we're going to have the meeting in January. Either it's going to be a Zoom meeting,
Or in person.
or in person.
Okay.
That's basically what it is.
I think the big question is, how does Leslie speak without moving her lips?
Me too. That's a real.
She's been trying to kiss you for the whole meeting, John.
I know. Okay, everybody. Any other comments before we say adios?
That's goodbye.
That's goodbye. We don't need to have a motion or anything, but
Nope.
all right.
okay, remember what you're going to figure out what we're going to do next week. So have a wonderful week and happy preparation for Christmas.
Yep, same to
You
everybody.
too. You too.
Happy Hanukkah.
Yes.
Happy Hanukkah.
Today's-
Good Hanukkah.
Yes,